Around 3 a.m., August 31st, 2013, Darryl Mount, a 22-year-old black man, was chased into an alley by 5 Saratoga Springs City Police. During the pursuit, police were heard screaming, "Put your fucking face on the sidewalk." Then witnesses heard tasers being fired and more commotion in the alley. When the dust settled, 22-year-old Darryl Mount Jr. lay 20 feet below, bleeding, unconscious, and comatose. Darryl passed away 10 months later without regaining consciousness. What follows is the Saratoga Springs Chief of Police and his boss, the city's Public Safety Commissioner, holding a press conference after the death of Darryl Mount. To counter the Chief and the Commissioner's accusations will be the alleged victim. And Morgan's story and the Saratoga Police Department's story just don't jibe.
Why when this victim was assaulted, an officer did not stay with that victim? Because that's usually what happens when officers stay with that victim, who also believes that she is not a victim. How come an officer didn't stay with that victim for her information for her enemy? We don't know. And I have another question. Why would you release standstill photos instead of a video?
We just explain that.
Okay, we explained why.
He passed, and then he wanted to release this video.
I understand that. We explained why. We explained why we are not releasing the video of someone who was victimized.
Something needs to come out of all of this so we can find out what the truth is of what really happened that night, with him either falling or something happening, whatever that had happened. All we're asking for is an independent investigation.
Someone who's victimized. She is not a victim, because I'm sure if you called the ambulance, you have no problem with her releasing it. This is irrelevant because what we want to know is what happened. You said the alleyway wasn't lit, and it's lit. There's lights in that alleyway. There was an officer on scaffolding. You said there was an officer on scaffolding. So you lied.
Okay. Nobody lied.
He lied.
No, nobody lied.
That's a lie.
Darryl Mount's mother was told by a medical professional that while he met that his injuries were not consistent with falling from scaffolding, and you admit that you are a civilian panel. At what point do you think, A, that perhaps this case may be out of the realm of your experience?
The Public Safety Department is overseen by the Commissioner. I'm the Commissioner, Christian E. Mathieson, and my Deputy Commissioner over here, Eileen Finneran. Neither of us have law enforcement backgrounds. You do understand the commission form of government. There were 5 people who sit on the City Council, and the 5 people all have full-time deputies, but we are all people who, most of whom are either independently wealthy or retired or have other careers, because we're all paid $14,500 a year. The mayor, all commissioners are paid $14,500 a year, so we all have other careers. So I'm a dentist. I work in Saratoga Springs. I've been practicing dentistry here for many, many years. I have no affiliation with law enforcement whatsoever.
And also, even though you're an independent panel, don't you have a vested interest in protecting the town of Saratoga from any legal ramifications?
The City of Saratoga. I'm sorry, your first comment was what about?
That Darryl Mount's mother was told that his injuries were inconsistent with falling from.
Do you have information on that? You have more information on who said that, and can you provide me that information?
We have Darryl Mount's mother on tape saying.
Right, but can you give me that information of that person at Albany Med who made that statement? Okay, because it's already, here we are, this is June of 2014. This incident took place in August of 2013. And all this time we haven't seen any information along those lines. So I would love to see that information. So if you can get that for me, that would be very helpful, because that would be very consistent with anything we've heard.
Well, at what point do you as a civilian panel acknowledge that perhaps sometimes an issue is out of the realm of your experience? What's the harm in having some outside independent group come and also?
I would definitely have an outside group come into the city if we thought that there was any kind of inconsistency or if there was any complication here. But we've seen no reason for that, and nor has any other agency. We have said over and over again that if another agency does want to come in and investigate this incident, that we would cooperate fully. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to ask to have another agency come in and investigate this incident when I have no reason to do so. I have nothing here before me that would indicate to me that there's a problem in terms of the investigation, that it seems to have been done properly, and the evidence that we see here is completely consistent with the conclusions of this investigation.
Did you talk to any medical professionals that treated Darryl Mount?
No,
No, I haven't heard from any medical professionals that have made that claim.
I'm sorry?
Did you ever send a medical examiner as part of the investigation to take a look at his injuries?
The medical examiner would have come into play after he had passed away. Since there was no crime committed that we could get to a grand jury and subpoena or issue warrants for, we cannot subpoena his medical records, nor did we. That's all we have on the issue of Darryl Mount. The issue of civilian oversight of the police department is a different issue that we can address at another time, and we'll take no more further questions. I don't know where you're from, so let me, well, I gave Dennis an email that long.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you.
Before you all leave, I would like to make a little comment here. I understand the family being very upset about this incident. I would be upset if my son were involved in an incident like that and something tragic like this happened. I can certainly understand the high emotions, and as we've always said, our sympathies go out to everyone involved in this.
That's when your condolences came, is when after my brother died.
No, that's not true.
That's when your condolences came.
No, that isn't true. But the fact of the matter is, we feel very badly about this.
Your footage is coming when my brother died, and I hope you all sleep very fucking well at night, because I don't sleep any night, all right? Any night.
And we feel very badly.
You did this to my brother,
well,
and you have no justification behind it, and you don't want an outside investigation because you're in with them.
And that just isn't true.
Your evidence is irrelevant. Give me the video of them doing what they did to my brother, and then we can talk.
I'm sorry.
You can't give it because you don't fucking know.
Okay.
So, so that this notion that he attacked her, you think this is?
Well, I think there's a very big difference between being pushed and being attacked.
The cop had approached him and was saying that he had slapped me in the face, and it didn't happen. He didn't slap me in the face. So I had went up to see what the cops were doing, talking to him. And they asked me if he slapped me in my face and put a flashlight in my face and said that my face was red. And I said, no, my face isn't red, and he didn't slap me in my face. So then they didn't do anything. They just walked away after that. Me and a few other people had went into the paddock, and we were in there for a little bit, and then Daryl had came down in there, and we were all just hanging out, having a couple of drinks, dancing, having fun. And then Daryl had came up to me and grabbed my shirt, and then he had started running out of the paddock, and I was like, what the heck? So I went out to go find him, and we ended up arguing, and he had just pushed me. He didn't push me hard or anything where he would hurt my head or hurt me, because he's never put his hands on me before or hurt me in any kind of way. So he had pushed me, and he was up by the corner, so with him going around the corner after he had pushed me, the cops had started chasing after him. So by that time, when I got up to look where they went, they were all gone. So when I had walked down, I didn't see anybody in the alleyway or anything, so I couldn't find them. So after that had happened, I was standing outside the paddock smoking a cigarette, and his cousin Jordan and Joey and a couple others had came up and were like, I think Daryl just got arrested. A cop had came back, and this was the same cop that had asked us, that had dealt with us earlier. And he had came back and asked me if I was okay to get into his car to write a statement. And I'm like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And he said that I had been he hit my head off a brick wall. And I'm like, no, you didn't hit my head off it. I was pushed into it. I didn't hit my head at all. And he's like, well, you need to come write a statement for me and stuff. And I'm like, well, you don't even know my boyfriend's name, first of all, because I just thought, Daryl ran from him so that he, took off and, that they weren't going to be able to catch up to him. Well, he said that he knew Daryl, he knew his name and said his name, Darryl Mount. So I'm thinking they knew his name this whole time it happened before, when they first approached us. So after that, I didn't go and write a statement. I didn't even talk to the cop. I just went and walked away from it. And then I had went to the police station to ask what happened or where my boyfriend, because I thought he was at the police station, and they had told me that he tripped and fell and hit his head, so he's on his way to Albany Med. And I was like, what do you mean? He tripped and fell. I'm confused. They didn't say anything about scaffolding, nothing at all.
Do you think there's a chance that this was playful?
I wasn't down there. They were downtown, they were drinking. I don't know. I don't know. From what she's saying to me, she said, it wasn't a big deal. We were just arguing, and that was that. He's never been violent with her before. He's never put his hands on her before. There's never been any incidents of that before this.
Miranda, not to sound insensitive at all, but I guess the question that people would ask is, if nothing bad happened, why did he run? I mean, you might not be able to answer that.
If nothing bad happened, why did he run? Well, we're both from Saratoga Springs. I have many people that would probably sit here directly in front of your cameras and say how they've been assaulted by Saratoga Springs police. I've had many friends that have had their faces bounced off concrete by them. I have many friends that have been threatened by them. I have met many friends that something is always happening in this town. It's an every weekend thing. Does it make the paper? No, because it's the police, blunt force on other people. If you had 5 officers pursuing you, living in this town and knowing all that you know, if it was me, I would have ran too.
So that goes against what they're saying in there, that Saratoga doesn't need a review board because nothing bad happens here.
No, they need a review board because a lot happens here. I'm enraged, I'm pissed, I'm furious. I want to know what happened to my brother. I want justice. I'm not going to stop till we get justice. I'm upset, I'm hurt. He was my best friend. He's my little brother. He was 22 years old. 22 years old. I'm sorry, but even if he was to push her, death is a hell of a fucking way from a push.
What was it like when they came at you? What were you feeling? Did you see that? Were they tensed up? Were they?
Yeah, they're I don't know, they were acting weird. They didn't even come up to me though at first. They started running after him, and there was one police officer that was still across the street in his car. So they had taken off, and when I went to go look for them, I didn't talk to a police officer at all. So when I went to go look for him, a police officer that had ran after him was coming back, walking back from wherever they went, and then came up to me and was asking me questions and telling me I needed to write a statement and of what happened, and if I was okay that I needed to go to the hospital because I was hurt and I needed to go get checked out because my head was hit. And
do you know that officer's name?
No, I don't.
Would you recognize the officers?
Yep.
From the picture?
Mm-hmm. They're out every night. Okay. Every weekend.
Well, we take any kind of assault against women very seriously. We take any issues of police brutality very seriously. We take any issues of racism very seriously, and anything of that sort is not tolerated by any of the chiefs or by me. And so we are full-time civilians overseeing this department. So it is a bit different than Albany or Schenectady or Troy.
An objective investigation into the death of Darryl Mount hasn't happened in the city of Saratoga Springs. There are many possibilities as to what could have happened to Darryl that evening. Was he clubbed in the head? Was he hit by a taser and fell? Was he followed into the alley, into the scaffolding, and pushed off? Did it happen on the ground, in the air? Who knows, because the investigation never asked these questions.